Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our webinar today is about applying to graduate programs at Columbia Climate School, and we have with us Alfred Ayoub and Maya Lupo. Thank you both very much for being with us here today and taking out time. Alfred Ayoub works as a senior director of admissions and marketing at Columbia Climate School, and Maya Lupo is assistant director of the program in environmental science and policy at Columbia Climate School. I'm Sharbanu Batafi. I'm your host for today. I work as an education advisor here at Education USA Pakistan in the Lahore office. I did my Fulbright master's program at the George Washington University, where I pursued a master's in international development studies, and I concentrated in climate resilience and monitoring, evaluation, and learning. I'll be sharing my screen to give you a brief overview of Education USA Pakistan and everything that we do. I hope that everybody is able to see my screen. Okay, great. So, Education USA is known as USEFP, which is short for the US Education Foundation in Pakistan, and we provide advising all across Pakistan. Though we have offices in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, the Fulbright program is the flagship program of Education USA. And what is the Fulbright program? So, the Fulbright program supports students all across the world in pursuing either a master's or PhD in the US, but in Pakistan, we have the largest cohort of Fulbright students selected all across the world. And the program supports students not only with the tuition fee, but also gives a monthly stipend, which is for books, transportation, food, accommodation, and the program also covers an airfare ticket as well. So, what is Education USA? So, Education USA is present wherever there is a US embassy. We are part of the US Department of State, and we provide you with accurate, current, and comprehensive information. We also offer resources, guidance, and advice on how to find the best fit university. So, what all services do we provide? We provide one on one advising. You can either visit our office in person or schedule a virtual advising call with us. We offer free in house or virtual sessions like the one we're having right now. If you visit our office, you can access our resource library. We have books on standardized tests, including GMAT, GRE, SAT, and TOEFL. And we also have books on American culture and what it is like to be an international student in the United States. We also offer free workshops on the GRE, SAT, and TOEFL exams. So, in addition to our advising centers in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad, we also have Lincoln Corners all across Pakistan. The Lincoln Corners serve as American spaces in Pakistan. There are five Lincoln Corners in Punjab. We have one in Lahore, which is located in the Qaid-e-Azam Library. We have one in Sargodha, Faisalabad, Multan, and Bihari. And at the Lincoln Corners, you can pretty much come and work, access the resource library, read a magazine, or simply look up programs and universities or take virtual tours of universities that you're interested in. So I would recommend that you register for our free advising services. If you go to educationusa.pk/register, you will receive a weekly update, an email that will outline all the upcoming events and webinars. For that week, we are planning more in-person events in our offices in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad for you guys to attend. They're named Ed Talks with Education USA. We have one on the 7th of July in our office in Lahore in FC College, which is with a civil servant, and he'll be talking about his journey from the civil service to Fulbright. If you have any questions, email us at lahore@educationusa.org. Follow us on our Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram channels to stay updated about our upcoming events and webinars. Also follow the US consulate in Lahore. We do have collaborations with them every so often. So do follow them on Instagram, X, and Facebook to stay updated on all that the US consulate in Lahore has to offer and their upcoming webinars and events. And if you have any questions or queries or want to book a visa appointment, go to the usembassy.gov website and you'll be able to see any visa related information that you might need there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll hand it over to Alfred now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate the Education USA Pakistan team for inviting us to speak um, to you. And we just like to emphasize that every single year we have some really phenomenal, strong candidates from Pakistan. In fact, Columbia Climate School, we're going to be anticipating to enroll 4 students from Pakistan this year. So every year we have really strong students, and we look forward to sharing with you a little bit more about our various degree programs. Before I formally begin, I also want to thank my colleague Maya Lugo. Maya Lugo is the Assistant Director of the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program in the School of International and Public Affairs, and Maya will also be sharing more about her programs along with one of our other partner programs, the Sustainability Management Program. You can think of this as a preview presentation. Today we are giving a very kind of a brief overview of 6 distinct graduate degree programs, both at Columbia Climate School, at the School of Professional Studies, and at the School of International and Public Affairs. The reason why we always tie these programs together is because they're all extremely mission aligned in terms of their goals in environmental science, policy, sustainability, and the climate space. So, just without further ado, I'd like to just briefly also go over the agenda. We're going to introduce you to Columbia Climate School, the 6 distinct graduate degree programs we'll be discussing today. We'll also talk about fellowships, scholarships, opportunities across these different degree programs, professional development opportunities that are available across the degree programs, the alumni network, and of course our contact information. Again, I want to emphasize that this presentation really serves as a preview of our degree programs. If, for example, you learn a little bit more about the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program through Maya, and you say, I'd like to get more of a deep dive into the application process, for example, or further discussion of the curriculum, Maya hosts monthly virtual info sessions on that program, as do all of our colleagues when it comes to these programs. So again, this is a preview, and we look forward to further engaging with you after this session as well. So let me now discuss a little bit about Columbia Climate School. First and foremost, Columbia Climate School is the newest school within Columbia University. And if I take a step further back, Columbia University is the fifth oldest institution within the United States, the oldest in the state of New York. And when you refer to Columbia University, you're referring to a major research institution with over 20 different graduate professional schools and undergraduate schools embedded within Columbia University. You can think of these schools, and you're familiar with these schools, like Columbia Business School, Columbia Law School, Columbia Journalism School that administers the Pulitzer Prize each year, Columbia School of Social Work, Columbia School of Nursing, the School of International and Public Affairs, which is represented today, the School of Professional Studies. And again, the newest school within Columbia University is Columbia Climate School. It was announced in 2020 and formally launched in 2021. And our mission, our ethos is that the world requires knowledgeable leaders to work with businesses, communities, governments, and civil society to address climate change. The Climate School's graduate degree programs and other learning opportunities provide an interdisciplinary knowledge base for climate leaders with diverse interests and backgrounds. And it's very important today. What you're going to be hearing when it comes to all of our degree programs is the word interdisciplinary. There is no cookie cut Columbia Climate School student or student among any of these partner programs that we're going to be discussing today. We attract students with robust STEM backgrounds. Maybe they're engineers in a past life. We attract students that are journalists or students with humanities backgrounds. What ties all of them together is the idea that they want to address the challenges and explore the opportunities that exist with climate change. I want to just also take a brief moment to describe the photographs in this picture. These are photos of Columbia University's various campuses. The first photo in the lower left corner is our Morningside Heights campus. That's where the majority of our courses are hosted at Columbia University. And in fact, the School of International and Public Affairs is specifically based in the Morningside Heights campus. The middle photograph is Manhattanville. That's the Forum building specifically. Columbia Climate School hosts some of our core courses there. And Manhattanville is the newest campus within Columbia University, located about 10 blocks north of the main Columbia University campus. In fact, Columbia Business School is now located there. And the final photograph, and the most important and relevant for us as a climate school presentation, you'll notice this very beautiful autumnal scene in the lower right is Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory. And Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory is a 189-acre research campus located on the Hudson River, about 45 minutes north of the main Columbia University campus. And Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory is a through line for all of our programs because Lamont Doherty researchers teach throughout all of our programs. It's truly the world's leading center on Earth, climate, ocean, and environmental sciences. And I do not say that lightly. We have hard facts to back that. Some really interesting data points is in the 1970s, one of our Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory faculty members is the first academic to coin the term global warming in an academic research paper. Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory is also responsible, through the work of Mark Kane, to have developed El Nino seasonal forecasting through groundbreaking models of El Nino. So really incredible climate work has been done at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory. It has nearly an 80-year history with Columbia University. So the other thing I like to note is, yes, Columbia Climate School might be new, but the work that we're doing in the climate space is absolutely not. In fact, we're at the tip of the spear when it comes to climate research, sustainability, sustainable development. So much work is happening at Columbia University, and we have a very long-standing history in the space. So we are discussing 6 graduate degree programs. Today we'll begin with 3 of the programs embedded specifically within the Climate School, which is the MA Climate Society, MS in Climate Finance, and the MS in Climate program. We'll then continue with the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program. This is the oldest program within the portfolio of degrees that we are discussing today. And again, that program is specifically embedded within the School of International and Public Affairs. And we will be concluding the presentation with our sustainability program, specifically the MS in Sustainability Management program, the oldest sustainability management program in the United States, and certainly the largest sustainability management program with over 400 students enrolled. And then finally, the MS in Sustainability Science program. So just to give you a very high level aerial snapshot of these degree programs, and again, I want to emphasize this is truly a preview. We have standalone sessions for all of these degrees. So, and you're welcome to attend all of the standalone sessions. You're on our mailing list, so you'll be getting further information in the very near future. But in terms of these, a snapshot, when you're looking at kind of distinctions, we can look at it from a credit standpoint, a semester and length of time standpoint, whether or not part-time option is available, and when you could potentially begin the program. Now, understanding, given that we're giving this presentation to Education USA, and specifically students within Pakistan, as an F1 international student visa, you would only be enrolling full time at Columbia University. So I just want to emphasize that. So we are sharing whether or not you could do part time or full time, but part time really is only an option for students under very specific visas that allow part-time approval, or alternatively U.S. citizens or permanent residents. But if you're on an F1 visa, you would be attending only full-time. So the first one's the MA Climate Society. This is a 35 credit hour program, typically completed in 1 year, and you only begin in the fall. Also the MS in Climate Finance, very similar timeline of 1 year. It's a 39 credit program, and you would only begin in the fall. The only 2-year program in the portfolio today is our MS in Climate program. That's a 50 credit hour 2-year degree program, and that would be starting only in the fall. Then we have the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program. This program has the highest number of credit hours, interestingly, and it's a 1-year program, but it's a highly curated curriculum. Maya will be touching on it later. And this program is unique in the portfolio in that it starts in the summer. Every summer it begins. In fact, Maya just welcomed her newest cohort this year. And then wrapping up are our sustainability management and sustainability science partner programs within the School of Professional Studies. Both programs are 36 credit hours. Both programs can be completed in the year, and they actually have the flexibility of either starting in the fall or spring semester. So they have two potential start dates, either starting in September or starting in January. So I'll go ahead and begin with the Climate School portfolio, starting with the MA Climate Society program. This is a 1 year STEM designated degree program. It's 35 credit hours in length and interdisciplinary in nature, and it trains professionals and academics to understand and address the impacts of climate variability and change on society and the environment. Through classes and research, students gain knowledge in the physical and social sciences and the humanities as they relate to climate. A quick snapshot of what the MA Climate Society looks like. In the fall semester, you start with a climate core, and I'll talk about the climate core shortly. You'll also be engaging in an applied climate class where you look at historical capstone projects, successes, failures, how to improve on them. It's a very interesting new class that we've developed. In the spring semester, you continue your climate core and you begin exploring electives in the MA Climate Society. I'll talk a little bit about that. You'll wrap up the applied climate courses, and then your final semester is the summer, where you continue your elective courses and you also explore a capstone workshop where you're working with a live company and consulting with that organization. And actually, we have many of our capstone workshops available online if you want to view which organizations we've partnered with in the past, and you can actually see the presentations of our students speaking. To give you a really high level idea of what's the mission behind the MA Climate Society, right? So we want you to understand the scientific foundations of climate change and the complex ways climate impacts communities, economies, ecosystems, and societies around the world. We want you to then apply quantitative methods and interdisciplinary approaches to analyze climate-related data and inform decision making. So that's one of the core courses in this program, is looking at large climate data sets and interpreting the data, making decisions based on the data. We also want you to evaluate climate mitigation and climate adaptation strategies through policy, governance, and justice frameworks. Climate justice is another core course within this. And then finally, customize your academic experience through flexible elective pathways across Columbia's professional schools. So something very unique about the MA Climate Society and the portfolio I'll be discussing within the climate school today is that there's a great deal of flexibility in your elective journey, and that only one of your elective courses has to be completed at the climate school. The remainder could be cross-registered if you so chose. We've had students take courses at the Mailman School of Public Health because they're interested in public health and climate. We've had students take courses at the School of International and Public Affairs because they're deeply interested in climate and policy, or at the School of Professional Studies, as we're going to be discussing today, with their exceptional sustainability programs like sustainability management. So again, your elective journey can be a bit of a choose your own adventure. And so going now to specifically those climate core courses within the MS in Climate, MA Climate Society, and MS in Climate Finance, there's four courses that all of the students will be engaging with. They include dynamics of climate variability and change, which is the physics behind climate change. They include climate adaptation and climate change mitigation. These are the two pillars in addressing climate change. And then finally, all of the students would be engaging in a consulting capstone course. Areas that can vary then as it relates to MA Climate Society is all of the students will be engaging in a climate justice course. Obviously, we know that different communities and regions of the world are more greatly impacted by climate change and have varying levels of resources to address issues of climate change. So having a climate justice lens and framework is critical when you're working in the climate space. We also have a quantitative methods for climate applications course that you'll be exploring. We mentioned that briefly earlier. And then in terms of our MS in Climate program, which I'll be talking about shortly, you also be taking an advanced quantitative selective course. So you'll be given an opportunity, for example, to explore GIS or machine learning while in that 2-year MS in Climate program versus a social science selective while you're in the MA Climate Society program. I'll now transition to the MS in Climate Finance program. This is also a 1-year degree program, similar to the MA Climate Society in terms of length, but they deviate greatly in terms of content because this is a 1-year STEM designated 39 credit hour program offered by Columbia Climate School in close partnership with Columbia Business School. And this is an interdisciplinary program that integrates climate science with fundamental financial management practices that equip students with financial decision-making skills to respond to climate change. This program, if you say, well, what is the core themes? What are we looking to get out of this program? We again, similar to the MA Climate Society, we want you to understand the science of climate change and its varying economic, social, and environmental impacts. That's certainly the same. But in this program, you're going to translate those implications of climate research into appropriate financial and business language and decision making. We want you to also assess risks and opportunities associated with climate change. Climate risk is always a big word when it comes to climate finance, and evaluate the financial tools and strategies that can be applied to accelerate the energy transition and to finance critical investments in mitigation and adaptation. The MS in Climate Finance program is appropriate, especially if you're interested in, for example, asset management, private equity, if you're interested in impact investing, but also if you're interested in working in multilateral organizations like the World Bank. We need individuals who are able to understand and assess major projects as it relates to the energy transition and financing renewable energy projects. So this is the mission of the climate finance program. And again, it is appropriate if you're interested in private sector or alternatively public sector work. This program is also 1 year in length, and again, it's a 3-semester cadence with fall being in the climate core courses. You'll also be taking finance core courses embedded within Columbia Business School. And then you'll be taking a mix of electives across Columbia Climate School and Columbia Business School when it comes to your elective journey in the spring and the summer semester. This is the most of our programs when it comes to the MA Climate Society, MS in Climate, and the Climate Finance. This is the most prescribed of courses in terms of you are only taking classes at Columbia Climate School and Columbia Business School, and the classes that you would be taking at Columbia Business School have to be are a pre-approved list of courses. So it's not just any courses at Columbia Business School, but a very specific pre-approved list of courses at Columbia Business School. The summer semester includes either a capstone workshop or alternatively you could potentially explore a internship, which is a 4-credit internship in that final summer semester. The internship would have to be New York City based, which shouldn't be an issue because we are the finance capital of the world, of course. And then the final program I'll be touching on when it comes to Columbia Climate School's portfolio is the Master of Science in Climate. Again, this is the only 2-year degree program we are discussing today. It's 50 credit hour professional degree, and it gives graduates a diverse background and an in-depth training in specific areas of climate expertise. This degree program is very similar to the MA Climate Society program, except because it's offered as a 2-year program, it allows you to dive deeper into a specific topic within climate. So this program is, again, it's going to be 4 semesters in length. You have a fall, spring. Your summer is left to a practicum of your choosing. It could be in the form of a research project. It could be in the form of an internship, but the summer is strictly a practicum. There's no tuition associated. And then you wrap up with a second fall, spring. This program, again, the biggest significant distinction between this and our other degrees is that in the form of an advanced certificate. So the MS in Climate program offers 3 distinct options. You either have an advanced certificate in climate systems analytics, climate and disaster management, or alternatively climate and food systems. At the time of your application, you'll share with us which advanced certificate you're most interested in, but by no means are you then committed to that advanced certificate. You actually don't declare an advanced certificate until your first semester in the program. Something else I'll just briefly note is the MS in Climate is also available through a dual degree program, either in relation to the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning and Preservation, or through the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences in the form of a carbon management degree. If you're interested in our dual degree programs with the MS in Climate, you would not be completing an advanced certificate. Instead, you would be completing in your second year a degree program in one of the partner institutions. I'll now briefly transition to financial aid. So in terms of Columbia Climate School, we offer a variety of scholarships available. You are automatically considered for these as an international student. I know that's a question that frequently comes up among international students. So in terms of financial aid, we offer climate school scholarships. These are merit-based scholarships you're automatically considered for. A little over 60% of our incoming fall 2025 class received a merit scholarship. This year, we're going to be closer to 70% of our incoming class receiving a merit-based scholarship. We also offer what's called a Dean's Graduate Scholarship within the MS in Climate program. And this Dean's Graduate Scholarship not only offers merit scholarship funding, but there's also funding tied to attending at least one professional development seminar. We would be, or a professional development conference. We would pay for the conference fee. And then there's also the possibility of receiving funding for travel for that conference. We also offer a Stanley Park Climate Finance Scholarship with the MS in Climate Finance program. We actually have three of these. This scholarship requires a separate application, and this scholarship is the most generous in our portfolio. It's specific to the MS in Climate Finance, and it is full funding, full tuition for that program. So if you're interested in the MS in Climate Finance program, please check out the details relating to the Stanley Park Climate Finance application. And then we also offer, if any of you joining us, for example, just so happen to attend a City University of New York school in undergrad and then are interested in Columbia University, we have CUNY scholarships available. And then, of course, many of our students utilize private loans when attending Columbia Climate School. Again, this was a preview of the Climate School portfolio. I'm now going to transition over to my colleague Maya Lugo, who's going to be discussing the School of International and Public Affairs Masters of Public Administration and Environmental Science and Policy.
Thank you, Alfred, and thank you to everyone again for joining today. So let's start with talking about some key features of the program. So let's go to the next slide. So we are looking for mission-driven students coming from various academic disciplines that are dedicated to the field of environmental protection. So whether your niche is in conservation and biodiversity or energy or water governance, which are very relevant and important fields uh, within this space, this program prepares students to tackle these issues and develop and actualize solutions to the problem. So we foster a cohort experience of 50 students that start and complete the program all together at the same time. The program curriculum is very prescriptive, and we'll get into that in the next slide. But just know that all students will take 42 out of the 54 required credits together. And this structure promotes a very collaborative spirit within a very intimate learning community. And since we want to prepare our students as quickly as possible to become these change agents of the field of environmental protection, this is a 1-year immersive program. And now, why does 1 year matter to you? Well, 1 year in the program means only 1 year out of the workplace and only 1 year of foregone income. So you are saving time and money compared to 2-year programs in the United States. And this is the only public policy program that requires applied environmental science and therefore the world's premier program of its kind. So we require our public policy students to take 12 credits of environmental science in the summer, and environmental science is blended throughout the curriculum of the program, yielding an interdisciplinary learning experience. And as all these programs that we're talking about today, they are professionally oriented programs. They're not academic degrees, meaning you get practical training to enter the job market. So you will gain applied management oriented skills that focus on policy intent, program design, organizational capacity, and political feasibility. And these skills will help you shape solutions to sustainability problems within environmental policy. Now, folks leading the classroom, those are our faculty, and they are the world's foremost sustainability academics. They are experts in environmental science, sustainability practitioners, researchers coming from Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, as Alfred mentioned, and they're affiliated with the Climate School. And reflecting the integration of these natural sciences into the curriculum, this program is a STEM designated degree, as all of these are. And meaning that international students, you're eligible for 3 years of OPT instead of just one. Alfred, we can move to the next slide. So going more in depth into our curriculum, so this is an accelerated program over the course of 3 semesters. As I mentioned, you'll be taking 54 credits, 19 in the summer, 18 in the fall, and 17 in the spring, and we'll cover 5 fields throughout the 54 credits. As I mentioned, the fields include environmental science, but also financial management, economic, quantitative, and policy analysis, sustainability management, and environmental politics. And each field component was designed with intent to fulfill the goals of this degree program. So we require environmental science not to make you an environmental scientist, and I'll be clear. You're not expected to take environmental chemistry and become an environmental chemist or ecology and become an ecologist. But because we believe that you cannot implement actionable environmental policy without understanding the science behind it. So we also have financial management because money is at the heart of most organizations, and we need our students to be able to allocate and track resources to steer and monitor the work of organizations. We have economics, quantitative analysis, because that's the language of organizations, and you need to be able to examine alternative courses of action and their probable impacts. Policy because of the role that government and public values play po- um, in shaping policy and how organizations align with federal rulings. And finally, there's sustainability management to understand and navigate the functions of complex organizations and making them more sustainable. And then finally, we have the workshop sequence, which is the through line of this program, and that covers, that occurs over 3 semesters. In the summer, you will work on a piece of legislation that hasn't been enacted yet, and you will learn the science behind that bill and develop science-based solutions to the problem that that bill is seeking to address. In the fall semester, when you're taking the more policy and management-oriented courses like sustainability management, um, you are going to be developing a plan to implement that bill. So you'll be doing a program design, a budget assessment, a political feasibility assessment for that bill. And then the spring semester, you'll take the skills that you've garnered from the summer and the fall semester and work as a graduate consultant for a real life client, typically a nonprofit organization or a government agency. And we can advance to the next slide. So these are the fellowships that we offer for the program. The most pertinent to our audience on the call, I believe, would be our partial fellowships, which are awarded based on academic merit and financial need. They are, regardless of citizenship, all international students are considered for a partial fellowship for the program. There's no separate application process either. You are immediately considered for this fellowship if you indicate interest on your SEPA application and if you submit the application by the fellowship deadline, which is January 15th every year. There's also the public service fellowship. We are aiming to broaden it it's currently only accessible for US citizens, but we're aiming to broaden it for international students as well, and that will cover up to 65% of tuition. And it's awarded to candidates that have worked 3 years or more in public service. And again, most pertinent to you, I think, would be the Lemon Interschool Fellowship as well. It's offered by the Lemon Foundation. It is awarded to a student who is committed to Brazil in its future, and there's no citizenship preference for this fellowship. Literally, the only criteria is that you've dedicated a commitment to Brazil in a sustainable future. And so I think that will be it for the fellowships that we reviewed today. And so now I'll transition to discussing another partner program of the Climate School, the MS in Sustainability Management Program. So some key features about this program. This is a program that is housed in the school professional studies, and it's designed for working professionals that either are looking to pivot in their career or have a background in sustainability management. But the overall ultimate goal is to train professionals, whether they are in the private, nonprofit, or government sector, to be a sustainability manager, to understand how they can steer their organizations towards sustainability and integrate sustainability within the organizational culture. So whether you are seeking to work in the private, nonprofit, or government sector, the goal for this program is that you have these skills in finance, in strategy making, in management, and in understanding the physical dimensions of sustainability to be the sustainability manager. Now, this program, since it's designed for working professionals, majority of its student population uh, is part-time, working full-time at, again, across all sectors. The population of the students is rather dynamic, where you have populations that are both full-time and part-time, but about two-thirds are part-time. The student population is just over 400 students. So what is really exciting about that is based off of the courses that you're taking, you could be sitting next to different students working in different areas across sustainability management. And it's all about the voices that you have in the room and all about that network. There's so much that you can learn just from your peers as well, based off the experience that they have. So, in addition to that, and reflective of the part-time nature of this position of this program, the curriculum is very flexible. It's 36 credits that need to be completed over the course of 5 years. Now, considering that everyone on this call, I imagine, would be an international student, you are required to enroll full-time. So full-time would be 12 credits a semester. So you'd complete the degree in about 3 semesters. I think we can move to the next slide, Alfred. Thank you. Okay, so the curriculum for this program, again, its goal is to prepare students for careers in a rapidly changing field of sustainability, and it emphasizes practical skills on how to be a sustainability manager. Skills that you would need to know how to face both the known challenges of the present as well as unforeseen challenges of the future. And again, just reflecting the dynamism of this space. The curriculum for this program is always developing, it's always improving. There are over 70 courses within this degree program that you can utilize toward the degree. So there are 36 credits that you'll need to take. They're divided among 5 comprehensive content areas, which are listed here. The first set of areas is the integrated courses in sustainability management. Now, these courses, they're 3 courses, 9 credits, and they give students an understanding of the elements of sustainability by teaching them about the complex interactions between the natural and social systems, which sustainability practitioners must always consider when they're making decisions relevant to their organization. It also teaches you what the different definitions of sustainability is and how it's understood in practice. So if you are familiar with the Brown Commission report, sustainability is defined as ensuring that the resources that we have accessible today are accessible for future generations. I'm riffing off the definition, but that's it in summary. But so how do you apply that definition within different contexts, within different sectors? That's the goal of what these courses aim to teach. The next set is economics and quantitative analysis. Again, as I talked about for environmental science and policy, the rationale for these set of courses is similar. You must understand the financial costs and benefits of sustainability practice and what sustainability means from an economic perspective, both in a traditional and broader socioeconomic sense. The third content area is the physical dimensions of sustainability, and this one in particular is my favorite. It teaches students about the connections between environmental inputs and outputs and their effects on the natural environment. So how organizations and its behavior has an impact on its surrounding environment. One course in particular, which is called Reversing the Biodiversity Crisis, is biodiversity and conservation is a field that's I feel like always needs a bit more attention, and this course helps you understand the different types of ecology and different ecosystems and how organizations can be used as an intervention point to help promote conservation efforts. That's just one example of a course that I'm shouting out. And then we have sustainability public policy courses. Again, as I mentioned, for environmental science and policy, the role that public values and government shape organizations and how organizations are managed is important for sustainability managers to understand. And then finally, general and financial management. Money, again, is at the heart of organizations, and you need to be able to track and allocate resources to meet the goals of your organization. And then finally, you have a capstone as well. It's not listed here, but similar to environmental science and policy and the other climate school programs, you're required to um, serve as a real life graduate consultant for a client. And within the context of sustainability management, those clients are also going to be either a nonprofit or a government organization. And I think we can move to the next slide, Alfred. Okay, so next we have our certifications of professional achievement. So if you are applying to to sustainability management, you have the option of, instead of applying for the 36 credit degree, to apply for the 12 credit certification as a standalone credential. The application for both are the same. And if at any point as you're enrolled in the CPA, you decide that you want to go for the full-time master's, that is something that you can easily transition into. The only thing is, if you want to have both the certification and the MS degree, you will need to complete both. You won't be able to double count credits. So you'll have to be enrolled in 48 credits during your enrollment. And the CPAs that we have include sustainability analytics, sustainable water management, and certification in sustainable finance. Now, there's an asterisk by sustainable finance because that is the only online option. Next slide, please. Okay. So I think we could, so thank you everyone for listening. If you have questions about either of the two programs we just discussed, you can leave them in the chat. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. But I will now pivot the mic back to Alfred to discuss the MS in Sustainability Science program.
Awesome, thank you, Maya. So I'll now briefly go over the Sustainability Science program, which you can definitely think of as a sibling to the Sustainability Management program, in that their design is identical, both being 36 credit hours, and both driven by what Maya has described as these really interesting and flexible content areas. You notice she didn't say these are your required core courses. She's saying these are your content areas, and you're able to explore multiple courses within each of those. In fact, the sustainability programs offer over 80 different classes. They bring in these incredible practitioners, as Maya has noted, and incredibly diverse students. Again, you're sitting side by side with maybe a working professional who is working in a sustainability role at Prudential or Boston Consulting, and then somebody who is a full-time student within the program, and you're able to kind of mix those lived experiences and professional experiences. So forgive me, I'm going on, but I could go on. The sustainability programs are phenomenal and definitely worth further exploration. So, the sustainability science program is really there to prepare professionals to understand, predict, and address complex environmental and sustainability challenges through rigorous scientific analysis and evidence-based decision making. Many of the students that enter this program um, are coming to the with backgrounds in science, engineering, mathematics, but by no means do you have to have this aggressive quantitative background in order to enter the program. This degree does deviate slightly from the sustainability management program in that sustainability management has two required courses. This program actually has three of them. One is Foundations of Sustainability Science. The second is Statistics, Data Analysis, and Coding for Sustainability Science. And then, of course, your capstone, which is the ultimate transforming those concepts into a practice and applying your sustainability science skills and expertise to a live project with an organization. Again, I think what really distinguishes the sustainability science program is that this program is going to focus on the technical and analytical dimensions of sustainability. So students will learn about not only how to understand environmental challenges, but you're also going to learn how to measure them, how to model them, develop scientifically grounded solutions that can be implemented across sectors and industries. And the curriculum draws on those Columbia expertise in climate science, earth systems, environmental monitoring, sustainability research. Interestingly, the sustainability science program is is much of the curriculum is almost exclusively taught by Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory faculty and was designed by Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory faculty. Again, going back to the curriculum itself, you'll notice this is very similar to sustainability management in format, at least, in that you're driven by content areas. So students complete 12 courses, of which 3 are required, and there's a great deal of flexibility within those content areas. I just want to briefly pause and note that the photograph is a real photograph from the program. Sustainability Science program does have travel courses embedded within. That's a photograph of a group of students. I believe they went to the Cayman Islands. They were studying and researching mangroves, and that is a mangrove being planted on the beach. Again, really some really interesting applied learning experiences while in the program. The content areas include the first one is integrative courses in sustainability. Um, and these courses provide that interdisciplinary foundation. Students examine how environmental, social, economic, and technological systems interact, and learn to think across disciplines when evaluating sustainability challenges. Methods of Earth observation and measurement. This coursework may involve remote sensing, geographic information systems, environmental modeling, also known as GIS, or other techniques to use to observe changes in natural and human systems. The third is analysis and modeling environmental conditions and impacts. This set of courses would allow you to develop quantitative skills to analyze environmental processes and forecast future conditions. You'll learn how to interpret the data, build models and evaluate environmental risks. The fourth is scientific tools for responding to sustainability challenges. Students explore practical tools and methodologies that can be used to address environmental problems. You'll focus on applying scientific knowledge to develop solutions that can be implemented by governments, businesses, NGOs. And then finally, sustainability policy and management, which much of the curriculum that Maya previously touched on in sustainability management would be available to you as a sustainability science student in this specific content area. So even the strongest scientific solutions require effective implementation. And so you need to be grounded in policy and management in order to implement these solutions. And that's what this content area is going to be all about. I want to touch on fellowships and that are available through the School of Professional Studies. They have many different opportunities, and I want to just highlight that they have certainly increased also their financial aid opportunities. So there's full for our fellowships for both part-time and full-time students, both in the sustainability management and sustainability science program. And again, I really encourage you to register and attend one of their upcoming virtual information sessions to learn more about not only the curriculum but the funding opportunities. Something I wanted to also touch on is professional development really across the degree programs. So Columbia Climate School has a variety of opportunities that are really curated for students within this partner program network. So we have a Columbia Climate School job list. We have an alumni list where we also host a alumni mentorship program across the degree programs. We also offer seminars, both in sustainability skills seminars, sustainability speaker series. We've invited professionals in the impact investing space to speak to our students. When it comes to the sustainability skills seminars, we've had seminars ranging from lead certification to sustainable consulting practices. Again, these idea of complementing your curriculum with these professional seminar series. We've also had in sustainability skills seminars, individuals come to talk about financing renewable energy projects, how to assess and evaluate a renewable energy project. In this seminar series, they'll literally go over, okay, we have a solar panel field in Puerto Rico. This is the investments. How do we assess whether or not this makes financial sense for us? So it's very hands-on, very applied. We also offer a Climate and Sustainability Career Expo every spring semester. Again, our professional career team hosts the session, but it's available across the degree programs that we are discussing today. And then we also have a variety of professional networking opportunities beyond that. You're joining one of these programs, you're joining a network of over 3,000 plus sustainability professionals worldwide. And and again, I think highlighting, I I said from the top of the presentation, there is no cookie cutter graduate student in this space when it comes to climate, environmental science, sustainability, policy, and you can see the outcomes are far ranging from students working at organizations like Google and Citi to Deloitte, the New York State Power Authority, KPMG, uh, the Nature Conservancy. So again, ranging from private sector, public sector, NGO space, it's an incredibly diverse audience. And our outcomes, multilateral organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank are listed here. You can see that we're in, an incredible breadth of organizations and making an impact in a variety of spaces, both in the United States and around the world. In terms of our deadlines for the MA Climate Society, MS in Climate, and MS in Climate Finance, we only have a fall start and we have two deadlines. Our application for fall 2027 is going to be opening in early September 2027, so stay tuned. You'll be getting emails about that. The priority deadline is January 15th, and the final deadline is March 1st. Anybody, I want to emphasize this, anybody interested in merit scholarship funding, and I see a number of questions in the Q&A asking about funding support. Am I eligible for it? You're automatically going to be considered for merit scholarship funding, especially as Maya noted, and both our applications have this, noting that you're interested in funding. Make sure to note that you're interested in that funding to be considered for it, but especially taking advantage of early deadlines. In terms of the three programs that I just listed, the MA Climate Society, MS in Climate, and the MS in Climate Finance, January 15th is the priority deadline. Final deadline is March 1st. If you're interested in merit funding, January 15th is the deadline you should be following. For the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy, again, this is the program Maya is closely works with, and this program only starts in the summer. It's a summer start program. So early decision would be November 1st. Fellowship consideration is January 15th, and the final deadline is February 15th, again for a summer start. Anybody joining the call today, I recommend if you're interested in that program, if Maya piqued your interest, attend one of her virtual sessions. That are coming up. She'll definitely deep dive. But if you're interested in fellowships, anybody joining today, you have two deadlines to think about. You're either applying November 1st or January 15th. Okay? So the earlier is always the better. That's our number one recommendation. And then for sustainability management and sustainability science, they have a fall and spring start. Their fall deadline is May 1st and their spring deadline is November 1st. Again, I want to emphasize if you are interested in the sustainability programs, they do a phenomenal job of deep diving in their virtual sessions. You'll hear from their faculty directors. In fact, for example, Professor Stephen Cohen is the director of the Sustainability Management Program and the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy Program. He always speaks at both. So if you're interested in hearing directly from the architect behind these programs, definitely attend the standalone session. Okay. And then finally, I want to just make sure that you have our contact information. If you have follow-up questions, Maya and I always like to say that this is a start of a conversation. And there's going to be a continuation. We both have one-on-one appointments. We can have 30-minute conversations, dedicate time to addressing any questions or concerns you have about our portfolio of programs. So I definitely encourage you to continue the conversation with us. And feel free to register or feel free to email us if you have follow-up questions. Again, all of you that registered for the event are on our mailing list, and so you'll start receiving information from us from across the degree programs. I want to pause and just make sure that we now can also address questions in the Q&A, but I also want to allow Maya, if Maya had it, Maya, please feel free to come off mic if you have any like closing remarks on your deadlines, anything by all means.
Sure. So The earlier you apply, the better is the mantra for this program. All applications are reviewed on a rolling basis, and we recommend to apply earlier rather than later because as we get closer to the deadlines for our program, there are going to be fewer seats available for students to commit to. So, you essentially have a higher likelihood of being admitted into the program the sooner that you apply. And we always encourage people to become very, very familiar with our curriculum as they are going through the application process, primarily because it is so prescriptive. So we want to ensure that the program, and this is actually speaking across the board, we want to ensure that the programs align with you. There are a lot of options. You just heard about 6 programs today. This is a very meaty presentation. So, um, you are welcome to apply to all of them if they interest you, but typically it's best to identify which aligns more with your career goals, um, with your personality as a student. Are you the type of person that would prefer to be told, okay, these are exactly the courses that I need to take in order to complete the degree? Or do you like the flexibility that maybe the sustainability management or sustainability science programs or the climate society program can provide for you. There's either the lockstep option or the flexibility. So it all depends on what you want out of your program experience and use that to guide you when you're deciding which program you want to apply to.
100%. Maya brings up such a good note. And again, we didn't go into the application process. Our application processes, there's many similarities, but there are some key distinctions. Maya's program, we mentioned, it's embedded within the School of International and Public Affairs. That's where your degree is. It's a SEPA degree. You have to apply through the SEPA application portal. And for the sustainability management and sustainability science programs, those are hosted through the School of Professional Studies. Those are School of Professional Studies degrees. You have to apply through the School of Professional Studies application portal. And then for the MA in Climate Society, the MS in Climate, and MS in Climate Finance, those are Columbia Climate School programs. You have to apply through the Columbia Climate School application portal. So I also want to note, there's separate application portals, separate application processes, separate admissions committees. So very important to note. Um, in terms of just really quick going through the Q&A, and again, we want to just thank everybody for joining us today. I'll just you're going to get
Papa, you
more
want me to read
information.
the questions?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go for it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and Maya, if you know
So
the answers too, we can yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So I'm just reading through the questions. So one person wrote that they did their Master of Science in Accounting and Finance. Their dissertation was on aviation and GHG emissions reporting. They're extremely interested in sustainability accounting. So their question is, as someone who's already done a Master's of Science, are they eligible for any of the MS programs that were represented today, or would we insist on them pursuing a PhD?
That's such a great question. You are absolutely eligible. All of our programs have had phenomenal students that already have graduate degree programs, and then they're pivoting because they have a specific desire to further explore environmental science and policy or the sustainability management program. Um, I can speak personally, the MA Climate Society, we've had a number of students that, hey, they have a policy background or they've had an MBA in the past and they want to further explore climate. Maybe they're working in a consulting capacity where they're doing more climate consulting work, and so they decide to come and get a second master's degree. It could be completely appropriate as long as you have an appropriate narrative to provide why you need this degree in addition to what you've already undertaken. But what you've described, you could be a great fit for another master's program. Specifically, if you mentioned sustainable accounting, this MS in Sustainability Management program has a number of courses in sustainable finance and green accounting that I'm certain could very much complement what you've been professionally doing. So that's a great question. Um, I see the next question, Maya. I can just highlight it. A student
Okay.
said that they shared their GRE score, and they said, could this be the ideal program, or ideal profile for a candidate intended to pursue the climate finance, have research paper on ESG, for example? So it's a student that wanted to know, hey, this is my GRE score. Is this ideal? What else can I do to improve? Something important to note is that across our degree programs, a GMAT or GRE is optional. It's not a requirement, although many of our students do ultimately submit them, some of our most competitive students. And if you have a strong GRE score, I certainly encourage you to go ahead and submit it. But in terms of what does the committee look for? It's not formulaic. It's not X GPA times Y standardized test score equals up or down decision. It's a holistic review. We're looking at your academic background. We're looking at where you studied, what your trajectory looks like. We're looking at what your goals and motivations are for this professional degree program. We're looking at what your ultimate goals are and how our program can ultimately lend to it. So you're referencing, for example, should I do if I've done a research paper on ESG, would that help me? Certainly, that's something interesting that shows that you have an interest in the topic of climate finance, but by no means do you have to do a research paper in ESG to be competitive for the program. What you really have to think about is, hey, why do I need climate finance? What is it about this curriculum of climate finance, corporate finance, dynamics of climate variability and change? Why do I need that kind of very specific curated curriculum to reach my ultimate goals? So then, and translating it back to the admissions committee to understand that. Another student asked about eligibility for scholarships based on an academic background of genetics. It's very possible that you would be eligible for a merit scholarship. I think the key there is just making sure that you apply, during one of our earlier deadlines. So another question relates to visas and specifically, does the university help students with visas? It's interesting because Maya and I had a call earlier yesterday, and we absolutely try everything we can to support our students through ISSO, International Students and Scholars Office. So if, for example, there is an issue with a visa, we offer additional supports through various means and letters. Maya, I'll just pause to give you an opportunity to speak. Like in real terms, what does that potentially look like?
Yeah, so in real terms, we meet one-on-one, do check-ins with all students as they are going through the visa process. So whether they are in the process of submitting their I-20 or they've submitted their I-20 and they're awaiting a visa interview, we do whatever we can to expedite the process. The International Students and Scholars Office is the primary department that assists international students or incoming students with their I-20. But when it comes to the visa interview, we write letters in support of the student's candidacy to receive a visa and enroll in the program, especially for, the summer program. Since considering ESP is a summer start program, the timeline between admission and enrollment is the window is much more narrow compared to the fall start programs. So my goal is to ensure that all admitted students are completing the steps that they need in a timely manner so that they can arrive on time. And for those that don't, we provide letters of support for them to receive an earlier visa interview. And if they experience any concerns during that interview and they have any reason to believe that they're not going to be approved within the appropriate timeline, then we also follow up with an additional letter of support. That is kind of the limit to what we can do. We can't meet with the consulate's office and say, you need to let these students in. The program is starting soon. They are qualified. They are excellent. We want them to be future leaders in the field of sustainability and climate. We can't do that. But what we can do is provide that administrative support of the letters and meeting with the students one-on-one to ensure that they are aware of what steps they need to complete on their end. That was a long-winded answer, but that's what it is in short.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Maya. Thank you for that nuance. And forgive me, I just resolved a question relating to the IELTS. Yes, if English is not your native language and if English was not the sole language of instruction in your undergraduate university, we would require either a TOEFL, IELTS, and this is where I start recommending attending the specific programmatic sessions because our admissions requirements can vary. So, for example, the climate school will take the Duolingo English test. The School of, Maya, correct me if I'm wrong, the School of International and Public Affairs, it would only be it would only be the IELTS and the
I hope
TOEFL,
or
correct?
TOEFL.
Yeah, so with those very specific, nuanced application processes questions, let's either schedule a one-on-one, send us an email, we can accommodate these conversations, or attend one of our upcoming info sessions, certainly. Um, uh, Another question was, could you tap into the personal statement or essay? Would like to apply. That's phenomenal. We're so glad you want to apply to the programs. Yeah, I always just say your statement of purpose is the an element that you really do have complete and utter control over, and it's a huge driver in terms of allowing the admissions committee to understand who you are as an applicant and what your real motivations are. Just to tie in this question with another question that relates to, do we need experience in the same field as the MS program? Your statement of purpose, let's say you don't have experience in you didn't study climate. You don't have a background in disaster management or environmental policy. That's why you're applying to these programs, because you have a specific goal and motivation for this topic. Maybe you were exposed to this area as a working professional, and you were working as an NGO. You have more of a let's see, I'm now just riffing. Let's say you have like more of a social science policy background. Now all of a sudden you're experiencing more specific issues relating to disasters and disaster management, and that's your goal for the MS in disaster management, for example. Incorporate that into your statement of purpose. Many students, though, shouldn't have this misconception that they need to have a climate background or an environmental science background in order to be competitive for these programs. Many of our students are pivoting into this space. I got a little long-winded there, Maya. Did you want to add anything? I'm
No,
sorry.
you're fine. Value with everything that you said. But do want to add, excuse me, for the personal statement. This is this is my favorite part of the application because, as Alfred said, it is where we genuinely get to understand who you are as an individual. And what we're often looking for in personal statements is that you understand not only why you're a good fit for the program, but why the program is a good fit for you. So when I talked about how you could apply to any of these programs and hopefully one sticks, ideally you have the clarity in mind with what you want to pursue at the degree, and you talk about that in your personal statement. So you'll be able to identify why the program that you've selected is what will help you attain the professional trajectory that you aim to have. So I just wanted to add that as well when discussing the personal statement. Really do put a lot of time and effort into that when you're drafting it.
Excellent. Thank you, Maya.
We should be
Um,
wrapping up in a few minutes, so let's see if we can
yes.
get through a few more questions.
Absolutely. One more is I have a psychology graduate 379. Am I eligible for the MS Climate? Yes, you're eligible to apply. By all means, we've had successful psychology students or students with psychology backgrounds apply to all of our programs. So, by all means, if you have the goals and motivations to work in one of these spaces, feel free to move forward with an application. And then, you know what? If we could do uh, one more question. I just want to do one more, Maya, because I think that,
Yeah,
yeah. What is the minimum cumulative college GPA for these programs? Do you want to answer that, Maya?
there isn't one,
There's not a,
technically.
yeah, there's no minimum. It's a holistic review process. So the admissions committee, again, to emphasize, is deeply interested in your academic trajectory, what you studied, and where you studied. And so, obviously, students, if you were a very weak student as an undergraduate student, you would face more challenges in the application process. But we do not publish minimum GPAs for a reason, because there is not one. So, um, uh, yeah, do you want to do one last one, Maya? Forgive me.
Yeah,
Anything you're
let's do one more. Well, that one's been answered. What kind of career paths do graduates from these programs typically pursue, especially international students?
It truly varies.
It's
International, yeah. We showed that slide earlier with all of those public and private sector jobs and organizations, and we've had I've had international students secure positions at Con Edison, which is a major utility company here in the Metro New York area. Um, I've had international students secure positions with uh, why am I all of a sudden I'm like having
It's
I'm
okay.
drawing a
We have a lot
yeah
of knowledge here. Sometimes it
like
doesn't always come out. But I
yeah.
wanna emphasize that where your career trajectory is often also determined by how what you came into the program with. So for example, I mean, we host c- very diverse students, some straight from undergrad, some with 15 plus years of work experience. So and some coming from different countries around the world with different intentions of returning or not to their home country. So there's no particular pathway that we can highlight necessarily for international students because it all really depends on the type of candidate you are, the intentions that you come into the program with, and what your career goals are. But if you go back to the slide that we had on all the organizations, all these organizations have our alumni working there, international and domestic. Um, so I do also want to emphasize that the STEM designation of these programs allows you to have 3 years of work in the US. So if you do want to stay here longer, you have that option through the STEM designation of 3 years. But if your goal is to obtain a degree and return to your home country, then then you may not be at any of these organizations, but you may, you'll have different intentions with the degree once you return home. So it all varies, it all depends. If you have a specific question related to any of the any of these programs and what the career outcomes look like, they kind of look very similar, but we can get into more detail if you want to attend one of the info sessions.
Excellent. And now I do want to be mindful of time. Thank you so much to the Education USA Pakistan team. I want to transition it back to them for concluding remarks, but we sincerely appreciate everybody that joined us today. And we look forward to maybe hosting more of these in the future. This was really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Maya and Alfred. This was really great and really insightful for me as well. And I think we had a lot of engagement, a lot of questions from people. So yeah, this is great, and we hope to have more collaborations in the future. And I'll definitely send a reminder message to my EduSA colleagues
Oh,
in other
yes,
parts of the world to get back to you guys. We'll do that,
absolutely.
and have a great summer ahead and a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Take
Thank you
care,
so much.
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.